Boy, like I said earlier, it was a busy week last week. We had the World Series thing going on, right? And we had the Perry played football game. Ohio State kicked butt last night. The Browns played. I think most people were very excited to see Ezekiel Elliott play for the Cowboys. I think. So that was cool. All right, well, it's good to be here tonight. We are in a message series called The Places You Go. It talks about the open doors, the opportunities that God puts in our lives, and how we go through those, how we recognize those. Kind of been covering all of that over the last several weeks here. So tonight we're going to continue that discussion. So it's good to choose your doors carefully. But when you do finally choose a door, as I like to say, when you go like the hokey pokey. If you would all stand up just for a second. Just for a second. And we'll just do the last verse of the hokey pokey. Because it starts with your right hand and your left hand. Your backside, your head. But what's the last verse, people? You put your whole self in, all right? So it goes a little something like this. You put your whole self in, you put your whole self out, you put your whole self in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. Here we go. That's what it's all about. So you can dance. All right. I like to do that stuff every now and then just to see what Jennifer says when we come home. Was that the hokey pokey? I need to look over your stuff before you. But when we go for an opportunity, we got to go all in. We got to put our whole self in. We got to, just like the hokey pokey, get in there. I don't know if you've seen this guy here on Lincoln Way, Tusk. They're right across from Central Catholic, real close to that Little Caesars Pizza. His job is to play this guitar, to drum up the business. Wait a minute. All right, he plays the guitar. No strings on the guitar, but he rocks it out. Have you ever seen him? Yeah, if not, drive by, take a look at it. And he is singing to his, the loudest he can. He's playing his guitar. He's got the moves. They did a big story on him on the Kin Repository. I thought, talk about going all in. This guy goes all in. And he doesn't even have strings on his guitar. He's just playing it. And he's 30 years old. He loves music. Jake, you can do this job, right? I'll put you guys into connection, right? Okay, deal. He can't sing, he's just out there. But when I think about going all in, I look at this guy and think, maybe to the people driving by, it's like, oh, he's just playing a fake guitar for Little Caesars Pizza. That's the most prestigious job in the world, not like the Browns owner or anything, but here he is giving it his all and being all in. And that's kind of the idea we want to talk about as we get to these doors that open in our lives. You see, when a door is opened in our life, when God presents that opportunity, we do get to choose how we will respond. When we decide to finally open that door and step in, to step through, we choose how we respond to that. Is it with energy? Is it with negative feelings? Is it scary? What is it? How do we respond? Now, the one thing we can do and talk about as we go through these doors is something that is probably easy to do is to obsess over the door we didn't choose. Ever do that? Yeah, I went this way and I like this and it was good, but what if? You ever do that? What if I went this way? What if I had done this instead? What if? And all that does for us is it sucks our energy. It drains us. Puts us in a negative state of mind, and then we just start doubting and doubting and doubting. So instead of doing that, when we do find a door that we were excited to go through, enter that door with enthusiasm, prayer, hope, and energy. Look at it like, wow, what an opportunity God has placed before me. And then we get to step to that door and jump through it. Enter it with enthusiasm. And I kind of think about that first day on the job you were really excited to get. Think of that, like that energy there where you were excited there, you got in there, you probably stayed late, you probably worked more than you should have, type of stuff, and you were very excited, and you were excited to be there. That same thing. Don't rob yourself of that energy. Don't rob yourself thinking, what if? Don't rob yourself thinking, boy, there was another door, I wonder what would have happened there, and you wondered. Don't do that to yourself. That's not how God wants you to work. God has got you where He's got you in the direction you want. He's got this place before you. He's giving you this opportunity. So when you step through it, be excited about it. I like this idea that when we have this door, enter it with enthusiasm, like jumping through the door. Kind of like the football players do when they run through that thing at the beginning, the sign, and then they jump through it. So you see, don't limp across this threshold of a new door. You want to leap across it. Right? Kind of makes sense. Don't limp, just leap. And because, it's called a leap of faith, it's just not called the limp of faith. And you kind of get this idea before you, the leaping, it's got energy behind it, it's got excitement behind it, it's got faith behind it, right? Now, there's a couple of stories here we want to look at in the Bible here, kind of help us look at this here. In Numbers chapter 11, verse 5 and 6 here. So this here is part of the story of the Israelites where they were in slavery and they were delivered from slavery to freedom. Well, so they were going, and then we catch them at this time in their journey. And here's their thoughts. Right? We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, which are onions, by the way, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything of this manna. So you see what they're doing? They're looking at the other door that they could have chose, right? The other door of staying back. Wait, go ahead and flip back to that slide, please. So they were stuck in that. And they say, look how good we had it back then when we were slaves. So that's the mentality we kind of start slipping into. That's the doubt. That's I don't like this. But you see, God promised them not only to deliver them from slavery, but to lead them to the land of milk and honey, overflowing too. All right? So entering these doors, these opportunities, it's not just taking care of you. God wants to go far beyond taking care of you, overflowing with milk and honey. So these are the people here. Now look at the leader, Moses. He had a little meltdown here with God. Let's look at what he said. This is just a little bit later in the same chapter, Numbers 11, verse 11. So he asked the Lord, he said, why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms, as a nurse carries an infant, to the land you promised on oath on their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing me, give us meat. I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, just go ahead and kill me. If I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own doom. A little bit of meltdown there, huh? So you can see in his thoughts and his comments, questioning and doubt, instead of leaping through. Now, as we look at these elements, the sequence in the Bible, I think we like to make the Bible pretty. We like to make it smooth and very, appealing. So this is what we normally think, right? The Bible is usually not, this is not what it is, right? It's not this calling, and then this deep feeling about peace, and then the decision to obey, and smooth sailing. Oh, that's pretty. That's nice. No, this is like a sitcom on TV, friends, right? Where in 30 minutes, they struggle through a major problem, and then they get it all wrapped up, and the family's all good. And what's that? Actually like 18 minutes and throw in some commercials, right? So that's what we like to make it in our lives too. This is what it's more like, right? It's usually, you get the calling, abject terror, a decision to obey, big problems, throw in some more terror, second thoughts, repeat all of that, and then finally end up with deeper faith. Right? As we look at these doors. And when I think of my calling into ministry, pretty close. It's tough, right? Being in ministry is tough. It's exciting. It's thrilling. You got to be all in with it. What an exciting time. But go back one more slide for me. But it's definitely not this. Right? It's not just that easy, smooth sailing through it. So it's always, but it's a door that I chose to go through and how I respond. Right? So you see, big doors require big commitment. So something to think about. We talked the other week about small doors and small opportunities. We get those every day about talking to someone, shaking a hand, smiling at someone, helping somebody carry something, those small opportunities, and stepping out and doing those. And those kind of help prepare us for these big doors require big commitment. So maybe joining the ministry was a big commitment. It didn't even just affect me, it affected my family around me as well, right? So those new jobs you have or moving might be a big commitment. Relationships are big commitments. But here we go. When you go through those doors, do it with all of your heart. Do it with all of your heart. So let's look at this idea here. Doing it with all of your heart, being all in, right? That was the Cavs rally cry this year, right? Being all in as they work through a team. So in 2 Chronicles, we catch a story about a king. Phil, I'm going to let you pronounce this guy's name because I keep butchering it. Amaziah. Thank you. How about his mother's name? That's what I call her too, Phil, right? Jehoiada. Amaziah. Right, so Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king. And he reigned in Jerusalem for 29 years. We know his mother's name. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Look at this last line. But not wholeheartedly. He did what was right, but not with his heart. He went through the motions, and he did what he's supposed to do, but not with his heart. He ruled for 29 years like that, but not with his heart. Ever find yourself in that situation where you were just going through the motions? That's what he was doing. Now we look at Acts 13 and King David. We see a little different idea here. So after removing Saul, he made David their king. And God testified concerning him, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do. But there it is, we see it, a man after my own heart. When you go all into these opportunities, these God doors that are presented, go in with your whole heart. So how do you know if you are in it with your whole heart? How do you know? That's, am I really doing it? These are some questions that you might ask yourself in a little, self-reflection about it. Do I talk about this? Do I really own it? Even accountable to it? Do I read and improve and learn more about it? Do I complain about it? Do I deal with it? Do I recognize it? Do I celebrate it? So those are some ideas. And now think for just a second. If you're to just talk to someone about something, what would that something be? That's probably what you're passionate about. That's probably what you're all in about. And I know I eat lunch with Mark every day, and the other gentlemen, or sometimes another or two, will come with us. I talk about New Way all the time. I'm all in. Mark, right? Probably to the point it might be slightly annoying, but I hope not, But we're always talking about, we're going to, walk down through the bar in a T-Rex costume. And we try to talk about the music, we talk to people about what we're doing. But so that, for me, that's the one I know that if I were to sit down and talk, I'll start talking about church. Talk about that. What is it that you're passionate about? Romans 12:11 says, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Never be lacking in zeal. We can find this challenging at times. There's other things pulling on us in life, right? Family members, friends, relationships, jobs, time. You see, big doors require big commitment. But I like to say they deliver energy as well. If you're really tapped into that thing you're passionate about and excited about, you go there, you do it. It takes time getting ready for it, but you are just as excited, if not more, when you're done with that project. Right? You go here, Jake, maybe with your music. You enjoy playing music. When you're done with the set, are you ready to play another set? Probably, right? If you're working with kids the same way, you get there, you plan for the kids, you get the kids here, you talk to them, you have a great, and it doesn't mean it's easy, right? Whatever your commitment is, but when you're done with it, you're excited. I know that when I go home on Sunday nights, after a day of church, I'm excited. I'm excited for the next week. I'm excited to see what we do. I love hearing the ideas. I love sharing the stories. And it gives me energy. So last week on Facebook, I posted this. I said, pumpkin party tonight, New Way Church, bring food to share, music, pumpkin bowling, all this good stuff. And then one of my friends says, I don't know how you do all that. At 8:27 p.m. At 8:30 p.m., I responded with the first thing that came to my mind when I read it: I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. It gives me energy. It gives me energy. And so for me, I know that's where my passion is. That's where I know I'm all in. And then the devil doesn't like us to be happy. Doesn't like us to be committed and all in. You don't talk about it, your commitment, when you're divided about it. And boy, does that happen often. I know Jennifer and I have been talking just these last several weeks that it always seems like one thing will come along our plate to distract or divide us. And not divide us, but distract us enough from really, trying to keep focus on what we want to do in life, through church, through the kids, through the family. There'll be one thing, maybe it's going to be a conversation with somebody that we hear something that distracts us or that concerns us. Maybe it's an email we get, maybe it's something we see on TV. I don't know, we've had this distraction about this this thing happening Tuesday. Right? Talk about dividing. So we have that. You see, you don't talk about your commitment when you're divided about it. And I don't know, maybe it is that commitment where if you're not all in, so it's hard to talk about it. But something triggers in us when we're getting pulled so many different directions that big commitment is hard for us to talk about. So the question is here, then when was the last time you talked to someone about God, about Jesus, about church here? And I say that with just as much conviction, friends, because I can get involved in the busyness of life just as well. Where you've gone a week, you've gone 2 weeks. No, I haven't told anybody about how Jesus is working in my life. I haven't told anybody about how God did this in our family, or God did this for me at work. Giving praise and thanks to God. It's easy for time to slip by like that, isn't it? It's easy for those opportunities to fly by and you don't do anything. So some reflection there about when was the last time you talked about God? You see, our world needs you to tell them about God working in your life. Our world needs to hear stories of hope, because right now they're looking at the wrong places for hope. There's people out there struggling, and all they can do is look at drugs. All they can do is look at running away. All they can do is battle alone, because that's what the devil wants us to do. Feel alone. Feel like nothing can help us, so that the devil can win. The world needs to hear your story. We need to be talking about that. You see, being all in as a church community here means we are vital and we are important. We're doing our work. We're doing the work of God. We are the skin of God. Let me explain that if I can. The skin of God. There was a story of a little girl. There was a stormy night, a thunderstorm going on, and she got scared. She heard it. She ran into her mom's room and said, "Mom, I'm scared." And she said, "Honey, you don't have to be scared. God is with us always." And the little girl said, "I know, Mom, but I need a God with skin on right now." So she needed a hug. She needed to feel that. And that's what we can be to people. It is an image of God, God's love, God's peace, God's joy, with some skin on it, that they need to hear these stories. They need to hear hope. They need to hear, what's going on in your life? Why you smile way too much? Right? What's going on? We are vital and important. You see, being vital means knowing what you can do with your whole heart. So we as a church, even as a community here, knowing what we can do with our whole heart to have an impact on this community. 15,000 people within 2 miles of us. And most of them aren't going to church anymore. Most of them are struggling and looking, dealing with debt, dealing with job loss, dealing with relationships, and we can have an influence on that. We can bring joy, we can talk, we can share, we can struggle together. We can do that. So when I became a preacher, they make you go through a battery of tests, psychological tests, written tests, the ACT, stuff like that. You do your best, you just go through it. And because they all point to different things and tell you kind of person you are and stuff like that, and then you self-reflect and you write that down. Remember all those, Phil?
I didn't have to.
Whoa. Oh, they just let anybody in like that, huh? And you have to pay for all these tests too. That's the kicker, right? So you take all these tests. So I get mine back and it gives me the 3 top things. This is what I'm good at, right? Teaching, preaching, and creating vision. And so in kind of thinking, like self-reflecting, it's like, yeah, I like all those things. So, and I hope I'm good at them. So I feel all in about them. And so when we can know what we're doing and do that, it helps us to be a vital person. It helps to be a vital piece of the whole puzzle right here. So, but knowing there's a lot of things missing from those 3 lists for helping run a ministry of a church. I'm not the total package. I can't do it all. Got to share that with you, right? I'm not the total package, but together we fill in all those parts, don't we? We fill in all those parts and we create a community that is vital. We create a church here that can actually change the world. We can change communities. We can change friendships. We can help with forgiveness. We can share stories. I can do it all myself. You guys can't do it all yourself, but together we can have an effect. Just like our morning service. I forgot to bring that up in celebration. 1 month for a morning service. It's a 1-month anniversary, right? So that's cool. And that morning service we started October 1st, or October 2nd, 1st of October. We've had 10 to 15 new people at both services because of that. So there's been an effect of that, and that is an awesome thing. It needs your support. We need to continue supporting that morning service. It's only 1 month old. At least 6 months to really help get a service established and off the ground and growing to do that. So kind of keep that in mind. If you can do that, 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings, just come and sit. Gary's done a great job of getting everything covered in the sound booth. We've got all the coffee and the bakers covered, I think. We can always use more people. Downstairs is covered. Up here is covered. So it's really a really cool thing. It's a whole different feel, too, in the morning. Because I can see everything. I told my son Ronnie, I like the darkness too, because it's just cozy. So I like them both. Really neat things. So you see, staying with our gifts and our passion, help New Way just to be vital. Help us to be vital. When churches cease to do that, churches start closing. When churches closing, communities are affected. So we are being vital. So, next question here, are you using your gifts and your passions to help us be vital? I already showed you I can only do 3 things. I need help. We all need help together. Are you using your gifts and passions to be vital? You see, the world needs us to show God's love. And then in these church conferences I go to, they talk about your church being very important to the community. And they throw out this one question that usually stops churches in their tracks. And the question is, would the community miss us if we closed our doors? I think yes for us. I think we're doing some really great stuff. I already shared with you just about the food alone. We could talk about our youth program, about our children's program, about helping the house up the street this summer. Yeah, I think people would miss us. And I think that's a good thing to help remind us that what our community misses. When we stay engaged, when we leap through that door of opportunity, the big commitment, when we don't get so divided and so pulled in all these different directions, that we struggle with that commitment, because it all comes down to, it's not even about me, it's not about you, it's not about church, it's what Jesus has done for us. When we look about being all in, what did Jesus do for us? Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8. In your relationships with one another, it says we have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used at his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Jesus was all in for us. When it came to that opportunity to limp or leap, he was all in for us. And if Jesus did that for us, we can do that for him. Be all in. And I'm not just talking about one area of your life. I'm talking about our whole lives. What we do with our time, with our talents, with our gifts, with our thoughts, our actions, our words. Jesus was all in for us. And those doors of opportunity, big, small, whatever, we can be all in for Jesus. Let's have a word of prayer tonight, friends. Dear God, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for this opportunity that you give us. Some we recognize, some we totally miss. But God, we know that this week we're going to look a little harder. We're going to seek you out. Maybe we've stepped to a door and we just haven't given it all. We can go back and start again. Help us to see that. Help us to know that. Lord, give us strength, encourage us, keep us serving with excitement. Help us to not get burned out. Lord, help us to, even if it's a tough decision, to make some decisions where we feel good about life. We feel excited about life. We're their skin on this earth so people know God's love. Lord, do that for us this week. Help us to do that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I want to end with communion tonight in our offerings, talking about being all in. That's what communion is about. It's a reminder that Jesus was all in for us. He was sitting with his best friends and he's talking and he knew about the sacrifice and commitment he had to make. And he held up the bread, that was his body, and he broke it and he said, every time you eat this, would you remember what I've done for you? I went all in. And then he held up the drink and the cup and he said, this is my blood that's been poured out for you. Every time you drink this, would you remember I went all in for you? For communion, if you wish, anybody can come up for communion. Doesn't matter how you're raised. Doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, how much money you've got. Jesus says, come to communion and celebrate. If you just come down one of these two aisles here and we'll go this way and grab some bread, dip it in the juice, and take communion, and then head back to your seats going around that way. We're playing some music and doing that. But let's have a word of prayer before we come up. Dear God, we take this time for communion. And Lord, we just got to start off by saying, man, we really screwed up this week. Sometimes we didn't react the way we should have. We didn't say the words we should have. We didn't think good thoughts. We were not loving our neighbor. God, we ask for forgiveness for that. God, we ask you into our hearts. We need your love. We need your peace. We need your joy. There's nothing else that can replace the God besides what you offer. Lord, as we take this communion, let us understand and realize how all in you went for us, how much you love us, how much you care about us, how much you will never, ever give up on us. Your love never fails. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. If you like communion tonight, my friends, you're welcome.